Hi, I'm Old Norse specialist Dr. Jackson Crawford. Last week I posted a short just for fun in which I made fun of the notion that going to grad school for Old Norse or something similar is a place where you're initiated into learning all of this secret lore that maybe not everybody has access to about myths of the gods, when in fact, although this isn't a universal attitude, it's pretty funny to me that this is a notion because it's a pretty common attitude that the myth stuff is just crap you learn because you've got to teach that to undergrads so that you can do your real work. But in the course of this little short, which maybe I'll put at the end of this video for people who haven't seen it, I recited some fakey rhyming stanzas about the Norse gods, in particular Idun, and I got some comments that were perfectly reasonable, some questions that were perfectly reasonable about, well, why doesn't this poem alliterate? Why does it have end rhyme if you're doing something supposed to be Old Norse in style or reference? I also got some people calling me unprintable obscenities about this for some reason. I don't really understand that. But the question is reasonable, but in fact, those poems did alliterate, they just also rhymed. So I'm going to talk in this video a little bit about the fact that in historical reality, some Old Norse poems did rhyme in a style that was called Runhenda. So part of what was interesting about this experience to me, aside from the notion that people would mock your, sexual prowess and proclivities or what you eat, things like that, over whether your poem alliterates or not, is that because these poems so obviously have end rhyme, people didn't notice the alliteration even though it's there. So let me actually talk about how these poems worked, because when we're alliterating in modern English, we have to consider something that we don't consider in Old Norse, which is that alliteration is not always going to be spelled the same way, and it's not always going to involve the first syllable of a word. Old Norse words are always emphasized on the first syllable. English words aren't. So, because the alliterating syllable needs to be the emphasized syllable, in a word like creation, the emphasized syllable is aish, okay? It's not cre, because it's not creation, it's creation. So aish starts with a vowel, so that is going to alliterate with any other vowel. So now listen to this Runhenda stanza from that video. Hour of creation, Odin's curation, nets of the nation, Njordr's vocation, Loki's elation, lies and frustration, Idun's fixation, aging's stagnation. You see it now? Hour, spelled with an H, yes, but it starts with as a vowel. So hour, aish, oath, those all alliterate in exactly the Old Norse way. Typically, the even line begins with a stressed syllable that alliterates with two stressed syllables in the odd line before it. Nets, naish, njord, lok, leish, right, elation, lies, ith, aish, and fixation, aging. So in fact, this alliterates in exactly the way specified in Old Norse skaldic poetry. This style is based on a stanza in Hotatal, the last third of Snorri Sturluson's prose edda, in which he teaches all of these different skaldic meters, right? More than 100 different meters in which he makes up an example stanza for each style. The one that I base this on is this one, and all of these, the actual content is just how awesome the current rulers of Norway are and how generous they are, so there's not a whole lot of point in just translating this literally for you right now, but it's Vet ek ringsrada I hollada, gotter huslada, hirð olsada, drekker kramer glada en at jovada, Vittarvalstada Vandaugskada. So the reason that I did this end rhyming Runhenda style for the poems in my jokey little video was that I thought that the end rhyme just made them sound a little bit more, I don't know, like there was something about that trochaic end rhyme that sounded witchy or something to me, right? Like and since I had just been working on these because I'm actively translating Snorri Sturluson's Prose Edda, I just thought that it was a fun touch. So this rhyming style in Old Norse poetry is called Runhenda, probably not Runhenda. Henda is rhyme. It could be Runhenda, it could be a long U, because in Old Norse manuscripts they don't consistently mark long versus short U's, in which case it could be rune rhyme or secret rhyme. I think it's more likely that the explanation lies in connecting it with like rena to run. It's not perfectly easy to see what the etymology is, but like running rhyme, something like that, because usually you reuse it more than just in couplets. You're using it for the whole half stanza or the entire stanza, like the one that I just did with all the rhymes like Asian. But there are versions of this that rhyme just couplets, including what Snorri calls least Runhenda. Before I talk about that, let me remind you that tomorrow, Saturday, September 6th, 2025, is the beginning of my runes class that I'm offering for every Saturday or Sunday you choose, which day you want to come, of September and October 2025. So in this Zoom class, ticketed through Eventbrite, we are going to be looking at the serious study of runes and orienting you toward getting all the information that you need to pursue seriously studying the subject yourself. I'll be looking at the context of the runes relative to other alphabets and doing the best that I can to survey the important runic inscriptions that come to my mind from every different period of runic writing, and review how the different runic alphabets work at different periods. So if you're interested in that, please consider joining. Also, you can jump in on my ongoing myth class or Old Norse reading group as of Sunday too. So check out the links to those on Eventbrite. Links should be in a pinned comment if they're not there yet, because I'm not online today. This should be in the video description. And then as another side note, I mentioned that I'm actively working on translating the Prose Edda. Now, a book that I'm actively working on translating is a book that is not published, therefore I'm not earning royalties on it. And as you can imagine, trying to make a living off of Old Norse is not the most lucrative thing in the world, so I have to continue doing things that make money while I work on big, complicated book projects like this. I have to continue making videos. I have to considering these Zoom classes. If you're interested in helping the Prose Edda become a reality sooner, you can join my Patreon at the Skald tier. That's $20 a month. That gets you a monthly live Zoom call in which I talk about progress on the Prose Edda, show you what I'm working on. So, for example, you can see what I'm doing with all of these different meters in the Prose Edda. I'm trying to render them with example poems in English in my translation so that you can see how the style works in English and not just in Old Norse. As far as I know, that is a unique effort on the part of an English or any language translator. So let's talk about the other rhyming or Runhenda stanza that I did in my jokey video about grad school in Old Norse. That one in English was Tain Bathyatsi, tortured, templed in your orchard. Mother of immortals, make me see your portals. I, a vying devotee, vow an aged creed throaty, solemner than science, sworn enmity against giants. Or something like that. Since I memorized these, I might have said them slightly differently. Alright, so that just rhymes couplets. It doesn't rhyme the entire stanza like the other one that I just did. The other one I just did, all the Asian rhymes. Snorri says, quote, "This is correct Runhending," run rhyme if that's what it means. And this meter is taken from Tuglag, which means there's 4 or 5 syllables per line. This one, a little bit more conventional in terms of line length, 6 or so syllables per line, sometimes 7. And we do have, once again, classic Old Norse alliteration as well as rhyme. So the first stressed syllable in the even line is going to alliterate back with 2 stressed syllables in the preceding odd line. But remember that in English, those stressed syllables that alliterate may not be the first syllable of the word. So tain, torch, temp, all T's. Mud, mort, make, all M's. And then V's, vi, vote, vow. And then S, sol, si, sworn. Those alliterate and rhyme exactly like this example stanza by Snorri Sturluson in the Prose Edda. En þó hér til hallar hers ot hutti kallar oft tekur jarl að fagna við ótali bragna. Búin skjóf til greitslu að gulbrota veitslu. Þröngt sitter þjóðar sinni þar smestar frami inni. So that's kind of cool, right? Old Norse poetry is in fact more diverse, right? It has more varieties than people expect. It's not purely just alliteration, but sometimes also decorated, if you will, with recognizable end rhyme to us. Now, in Hottetal, as part of the Prose Edda, as I said, Snorri reviews more than 100 different meters. And some of them have very subtle differences between them, and it's not always easy to tell if he's just making something up or if he's, if this really existed at some point in the Viking Age, early Middle Ages, right? Did anybody do this but you, Snorri? So you might wonder that about Runhenda, but in fact, there are examples of Runhenda poems in the sagas. Hard to say the date of this particular one. There's nothing all that archaic about it, but this is from the saga of Bjorn, champion of the people of Hitterdal. And I've reviewed the story of that saga in another video many years ago. And this saga features 2 men just brutally insulting each other all the time. And this is one stanza that Bjorn, the protagonist of the saga, or 3 stanzas Bjorn composes about his rival for a woman he loves, this guy named Thorður, implying that his mother had sex with a fish, and that's why he is who he is. Hey folks, we'll be back to your regular presentation in a moment, but for right now, I'm here at Grimfrost World Headquarters Longhouse with Johan Hegg, and I just want to remind you that if you have Viking needs, you have a Viking supplier. Grimfrost really cares about getting things right. And if you need replica, well, anything, right? Shields, helmets, weapons, board games, cool t-shirts, hats, all sorts of accessories like that. You can get them at grimfrost.com together with my books, and they ship just about anywhere in the world. So check them out. It does help support the channel. So here's the Old Norse original. Fiskar gekk á land en flóð á sand. Hrogen kelsi líkar, var á holdi slíkar. Ot einaga, ilgur grómaga. Mein blandit hra, margt ilti sa. Óks brúðar kviðar, frá brjósti niður. Svo at gerðu eik, gekk heldar keik. Og í vom, varð heldar til þóm. Svein kom í ljós, sagt hafði drjós, auðar gildi at hon alla vildi. Henni þótti svo, hún bitar þar sló, javan snjallar sem geit í augun leit. So you see, that's just like that least Runhenda in that last example I talked about in my English originals. So to translate that literally, a fish walked onto the land and the sea went onto the sand. He was like a lump sucker. This is a particularly ugly fish, apparently. Such it was in flesh. The she-wolf of some cheap garment, just a way of making a kinning for woman that sounds demeaning. The woman, she ate the lump sucker, the gray stomach one. Flesh blended with a curse, there is much evil in the sea. The woman's abdomen grew from her breast down below, so that the woman went with her stomach rather protruding, and sick or poorly in her womb she became rather too thick. A boy came to life. The woman said, I think to her husband, that she wanted to give birth to it or nurture it. That dog biter, apparently the son, who lay there, seemed to her just as smart as a goat when it looked into her eyes. So, burn, Thorður. Right, that's what Bjorn thinks about you. That's a Bjorn burn, buddy. And like I said, if folks would measure up to that, might entertain. being called, son of a fish or whatever. People just aren't, like, man, put some creativity to it, right? All right, well, folks, appreciate you supporting the channel, Patreon, checking out books like the second edition of the Poetic Edda, which will be out shortly. You can get it on Amazon and lots of other places. The only reason I link to Amazon is because it's easy. You can get it straight from Hackett Publishing. You can get it from whatever bookstore you like. And you can get it from Grimfrost soon. And appreciate folks checking out the classes. Remember, the Runes class starts tomorrow, Saturday, September 6th. You can also come on Sundays. Come every Saturday in September, October, every Sunday in September, October. You can also join the Myth and Old Norse reading classes in progress. I posted a video yesterday about all this. So for now, thanks. And for beautiful Colorado, I'm wishing you all the best. Yeah, I did my PhD in Old Norse. You summon me, professoress of the old ways.
Ah, son of Craig. Tell me, what have you learned of the apple?
Ta'en by Thiazi, tortured, templed in your orchard, mother of immortals, make me see your portals. I, a vying devotee, vow an age-creed throaty, solemner than science, sworn enmity against giants.
And recite the song of the elder lore?
Hour of creation, Odin's curation, nets of the nation, Njordr's vocation, Loki's elation, lies and frustration, Idun's fixation, aging's stagnation.
Only after you've counted to 10 in runes.
Actually, even in this ridiculously hypothetical, fantastic scenario, I can't begin to think what that might mean.
Consult the runes, my child.
Is every office in this department behind a laundromat or a storage closet? Hey, Dr. Smith, you wanted to see me?
Yes. Jason, isn't it?
Jackson, actually.
Oh, yes.
Anyway, you wanted to see me about something on Thursday?
Oh, yes. Yes. Your dissertation. I'm gonna need like 2,000 more pages.
Okay, well, I'm trying to expand my corpus a little bit, incorporate a little bit more data, and I've been taking a look at some of the runic data, actually, there's a fairly large corpus of material in Old Norse and runes.
Ah, yes, runes. I don't know if I'd go that route. You want to stick to a little bit more boring subjects, to get published.
And I feel like it may be worth some time to spend working on the actual mythic material, right? I mean, this is what we teach. It's what makes our money. It's what brings people to the subject. It's what they're interested in. And I mean, it seems like beyond just reading the same lecture notes we've been reading for 200 years, maybe I should really engage with this material and try to make it more accessible to the students.
Yeah, that's a bunch of hogwash. You'll never get published. Just disregard. Just don't.